Martial arts is often viewed as something physical, but the biggest transformation happens in the mind. Over time, martial arts changes how you think, how you react, how you respond, and how you deal with pressure overall. Today, I want to talk about 5 mental traits that the martial arts path and martial arts lifestyle develops. The first thing that it develops is it gives you clarity over your emotions. Martial arts allows you to separate the emotion from reaction. It gives you time to think about things before you respond or before you react. A lot of times people falsely believe that emotions like anger or even fear will allow them to respond to a situation, especially a dangerous situation, better. But that's not the case. With martial arts, because you train with violence, you train with aggression, it allows you to separate the emotions that are usually associated with violence and aggression. So, therefore, it allows you to experience those emotions like fear, like anger, and gives you the option of either responding with violence and aggression or not. It basically gives you time to respond accordingly. Not every situation calls for violence. As a matter of fact, most situations don't call for violence. But when your aggression and your response and your reaction is a knee jerk situation to where if you get angry, you automatically act, or if you get afraid, you automatically respond a certain way. Sometimes this connection between your emotions and your reaction will lead you to react in a way that doesn't benefit you, in a way that'll hurt you, in a way that'll get you in more trouble than what you want to get into. A lot of times people think that these emotions make you stronger. Training allows you, when you separate the emotions from your reaction, it allows you to see the bigger picture. It allows you to make better decisions. In martial arts, we take the emotion out of, especially the action, the dangerous action of violence. We remove the emotion from it. We gamify it so that it's not a knee jerk response or a knee jerk reaction whenever you get angry. And when you're able to process and go through these emotions with clarity, then you can have those emotions and those emotions not be the driver of your actions and driver of your responses. And this will allow you to see things that other people miss. The biggest thing that happens when you are training is your awareness broadens. You're able to see details that a lot of people miss. And with martial arts, because you're slowing down a skill set that is chaotic, it helps you across the board in your entire life. It helps you learn how to slow things down and see the bigger picture. Then you are able to spot opportunities. You're able to see danger, and you're able to understand what other people miss. And a lot of that awareness that you get from martial arts is self-awareness, because martial arts as a principle is really an endeavor of self-awareness. In martial arts, your focus is on what you do. You don't try to control what other people do. So you're hyper aware and hyper focused on what you do, how you act physically. And that awareness, that self awareness, gives you awareness that carries on outside of you. Because when you want to understand the world around you, when you want to understand people, you have to look within yourself. And then when you start looking within yourself, when you start paying attention to yourself, you start noticing that the world around you is really a reflection of you. You start noticing that people act and have the same impulses as you. You start being more empathetic. You start being more understanding because you know how you would respond or you would act given certain circumstances. So when you're developing a skill that focuses on understanding you, controlling you, it empowers you to be able to understand others. It empowers you to be able to relate to others. And that awareness allows you to see things that others miss. It also allows you to use your patience as a weapon. A lot of people are, and it goes back to knee-jerk responses that we were talking about. A lot of people don't understand that every situation does not require an immediate response. And when you are able to pause before you respond, then you can see the bigger picture. When you're patient and realize that everything isn't urgent, you can gather more information and make better decisions. When you're patient, you can wait for the right moments and right opportunities to act and respond to certain things. When you can gather more information, you can make better decisions. And in order to gather information, you have to be patient. And martial arts, we also understand that the pressure that we deliberately put ourselves under builds character. When you're able to endure hardship, difficulty, it builds character. It builds confidence. A lot of your greatness will be revealed when you're going through struggle. And that's why in the fight game, a champion is really judged by the amount of adversity that he or she has overcome. You can take somebody, for example, an undefeated fighter. Every fight that they have looks easy. They haven't been tested. They haven't been challenged. And people will still doubt that that person is able to overcome. The question always remains, if this person is tested, how would they respond? How would they react? Even in a dominant person, when you see somebody who's always winning, who makes things look easy, the question is always in the back of your mind, well, how would this person act or how would this person perform if they were tested? So that pressure that ends up being a defining factor in whether this person's character, how this person is going to act when they're tested, how this person is going to overcome struggle. And it's a true test as to where the person's character is. Is everything going to fall apart when this person has to go through some hardship? Are they going to be able to keep their head on their shoulders if things get difficult? And in martial arts, because we purposely put ourselves in these pressure situations, our character for ourselves and for others, but mostly for ourselves, is undeniable. We approach situations with full confidence that we can overcome whatever difficulties that are in front of us. And that's how we're able to think like a martial artist. When you think like a martial artist, it changes the way that you approach problems. It changes the way that you deal with problems. Things slow down. You're able to make better decisions. And I love, you know, looking at martial arts. On surface, it looks like just, oh, some people throwing some punches and kicks and doing some wrestling and doing that and the other. But it's such a huge metaphor for life. And it's so much that can be learned from martial arts. But the place where we see the significant transformation is with the kids. Time and time and time again, I see a timid child step on the mats, and then in a matter of months, they start exhibiting leadership skills. They start exhibiting confidence. They become social butterflies, and like in a matter of months. And that's when you want to see true martial arts transformation happen. Go to any school and check out their kids program. You literally see kids, when you're younger, it's a tough time identity wise. You're trying to figure things out. Life can be overwhelming. The world around you can be overwhelming. And I've seen kids through martial arts, and these kids are not, they're kids. They're not becoming ninjas or something like that. But through martial arts, you see a huge transformation happen in a very, very short period of time. That's where most of the evidence is when it comes to the type of changes that martial arts sparks in a person's life. You look at the kids program, you look at the kids classes, and you see example after example of transformation happening quickly. You see kids that were bullied at school turn into the person that stands up to the bullies. And not that, and people think that when you are learning violence, let's be clear. They think that you resort to violence. They think that the violence ends up being your claim to fame, ends up being your biggest weapon. No, when you understand, when you train martial arts, when you learn martial arts, you actually learn how to put the violence away. So with the kids, I've seen parents be apprehensive about putting their child because they don't want their child getting into fights. And absolutely the opposite happens. Your child is able to take a potentially violent situation, diffuse it, and give it the possibility of the best outcome without using the violence, without resorting to violence. So, just to recap, the five major things, the five biggest transformations that you get from martial arts. It gives you clarity over your emotions. It allows you to see what others miss because it slows things down. It allows you to use your patience as a weapon. Again, we think martial arts is about punching people in the face. No, it teaches you patience so you can make the right decision. It applies pressure and reveals character. And when you think like a martial artist, you're able to deal with problems in the best way that they can possibly be dealt with. All right, guys. Hopefully that was something beneficial. We're out of here. Coach Sully, Reps and Sweat, Frederick, Maryland. This was MatChat.